Hey, what's up guys? It's me, ViBE, with another replay analysis video versus a Barcode Protoss. And it's actually me in this game. A Zerg player. This is a GM level ZVP. For those of you wondering, what the hell rank is this game? And for those of you wondering, what the hell is this video? Basically, I'm going to... this game was a unique game. It was a bit weird. And I'm going to be giving you guys tips and tricks as to things that I do, and also things that I'm going to watch myself do here that I could have done better. Just basically a lot of information for you to possibly learn how to play StarCraft maybe a little bit better. So in this game, again, I'm playing against a Protoss player, and we are going for a hatchery first. We're going to ultimately try to go for a gasless build. Whenever a Protoss player blocks your natural like this with a probe, there's a very high chance they're going to build a pylon there as well if you try to fight the probe. So just to save yourself some time, what I like to do is I like to just go take a third base. Just go take a third. As your natural. Now, I am actually setting a... I'm going to pause it here for a second and break down what my thought process is here. While I'm setting this drone down here to attack this probe has two choices. One is it can just keep running around in circles trying to block my natural, and then eventually run away. And the second choice would be, instead of just running away, he's going to build a pylon before he runs away to ultimately block my natural for a while. In the meantime, I'm not going to just start saving a bunch of money for it. We are still spending our larva and making drones because I don't expect this to be pushed away right away. At the very least, this could take at least like 20 seconds for me to push the probe out. So I'm going to still build my pool, and I'm still going to build my drones while I'm trying to work the probe down. But if I can ultimately push him away, then cool beans. Then you know, I can expand when I want to. And I'm already oversaturated as well. I would be if this drone was still on it. So this is my 17th drone to go clear out the probe. It just gets him out of the way faster for when eventually when I am ready. And you can see he builds a pylon. So we're just gonna be like, all right, cool. He was gonna build a pylon. That's sweet. See how I didn't stop the pool though, and I still kept droning. It's nice, and because now I'm not having to worry about this. But he did what a lot of pros do as well, is that he'll cancel it. So since he canceled it, I can retake my natural, no problem, easy peasy. If he would not have canceled that pylon, I would have actually. You guys saw I actually sent my drone down before it canceled. My drone was actually going to go down to here and expand here. It's a little crazy, okay? I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit crazy to expand that wide open, but the way you can deal with it if you do something like that is your very first two queens that spawn out of your first base, your main base, and also your third base over here. Because this is actually your natural now. If the pylon was still here, what you would do is you would actually have a creep tumor go from here this way, and you would have a creep tumor go from here this way. So you would make your creep come towards each other, and then eventually the creep would touch, and you would have very mobile queens and zerglings to defend yourself. And then this overlord over here would tell me as I scout his base if he's going to be doing a one base all in or not. If it was a one base all in, I would probably add on extra queens really fast, like non-stop queen production. But if he's not going to one base all in me and it's a natural, then it's not a big deal. It just means that I need to be prepared with like overlords in blind spots. Like this would be a great spot for an overlord. This would be a great spot for an overlord. This up here, like around either here or here, would be a great spot for another overlord. Just to cover my base until my creep gets there as well. Once creep gets there, we can pull it back. But it's only going to be a very limited amount of time early in the game where I'm going to be vulnerable to this. It's not like if you expand way outwards, it's not as ideal as expanding close to your base, but I still think it's better than just saying, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go 2 base gas now. And it'll be explained further throughout this video, more or less, with how I make gasless work against Protoss. Now for the scouting part of it, okay? During this process, we are making drones. We're making queens, 1 queen per hatchery, as much as I can for now. We're going to go up to 4 queens, ideally, since he's playing standard. And we're going to just keep droning. And here's the big things to look for, okay? Number 1 is you want to see if the Protoss player expanded. If he expanded, then you're great. Because now I know there's not some weird all-in happening. like 3 gates over here or 4 gates over here on the side of the map. He did a gate, a core, and a natural. This is a very, very, very standard build. And the reason why I know it's standard is because the second the game started, I set my Overlord down to his base. So my Overlord got here as fast as possible. And this is what it's seen. A Nexus that's almost done. And this. So it's impossible for there to be anything on the map, basically, is what this means. Now, the core is done. And we want to see... I'm going to back it up for a second because I want to say something else. Now that the core is done, the Overlord ideally wants to go into his base and scout further and just see if we can spot his tech. It'd be nice. Like if we can, great. If we can't, then we're gonna just play safe. So that's what the Overlord's doing now. I now know he's expanded. Now I want to see the tech. Also, we know that while we flew over the gateway, he chrono boosted it. And this chrono boost on this gateway usually will either be one of 2 units. It'll either be an adept or it will be a stalker. If it's a stalker, a lot of times what Protosses want to do with that is they want to hide their tech as much as possible and get rid of your scouts, basically. If it's an adept, it's to pressure you. And the way you can tell which one or the other it's going to be is as soon as you fly past the gateway. You can map this out better once you get more used to it. But once you fly past the gateway, you count to about like 10 seconds, okay? So like right now, at about 2 minutes and 44 seconds, if there is not a stalker that is now running over to shoot my Overlord, we're going to blindly make 3 sets of Zerglings. Because we're going to assume he then made an adept. But leaving your Overlord here to find out what it is actually really bad, because if there is tech over here, and the stalker then does spawn and your Overlord's still chilling here, there's a very high chance your Overlord would die before you scout the tech. Alright, so now it's been about like 13 seconds or so. And my Overlord has still not been attacked yet by a stalker. Plus, we've just spotted the tech. You can see he made an adept, and I don't know he's made adept yet. And like haven't seen the adept yet, but I can assume he made it because there should be a stalker running up the ramp to kill my Overlord right now. It should be happening, but since it's not, I'm actually going. I still don't have gas, by the way, but now because of what happened here, I'm going to make 3 lings. Or which it's really 6 lings. It's 3 eggs of Zerglings. I'm going to make that right now, so I don't have an adept running around my mineral lines killing my drones. It's ideally what should happen. So lings should be started here, and there you go, 6 lings. And now out of the first 2 hatcheries that just made queens, I'm going to make an additional 2. And one of them is going to go inject another hatchery. This one should be going to my natural. And then this one is going to spread creep. Because the way this lines up is my main and my third base were the 2 hatcheries that started here. And if I made 2 new queens again out of my main and my third base, and I rotate my queen from my main to my natural, what this means is this queen from here goes here, which is now a queen as soon as it has energy. It's a little late, but it's okay. It's going to inject the hatchery right away as soon as it can. And then the new hatcheries that were just injected, this base, my main, and my third, are having queens spawn as well out of them again, which as soon as these queens spawn, ejects once again. And now this queen over here that was at my third is now, it's an overlapping queen. It's like an extra queen. And now this queen becomes a creep spreader. And ideally what I want to do here, because my bases are so spread out with gasless build, and this is terrible right here. This open area. This is really bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread my first creep timber in some way to cover my bases. I don't always do the third here, but the only reason why I am doing it this game is because this guy pylon blocked my natural and made me take a third first. But ideally, if you can take a natural normally at your natural, and then a third normally at your third, what would happen then would be your third hatchery would be the one that's building last, and there would be no queen at it. And if I built a queen out of these 2 hatcheries, it would be queen, queen, inject, inject, queen in the natural, then walks to the third, queen in the main, spawns a creep tumor in my main. That's why my queen was sitting here for a while. It's because that's what I normally do. I was like a habit kind of a thing. And I would first put a creep tumor here, and this creep tumor would spawn creep all over here, and I would spread this creep tumor all the way out this way. My second creep tumor would go here, and it would spawn all the way to my third base, so that my main is fully covered. I'd have no dead space in my main. I can see everything, for like warp prism drops in the future and stuff like that. And my natural would be spread to my third, and my third creep tumor would be here to go out to cover my third base a bit more. And the creep tumor is the order of the path of they would go is this natural tumor would go like from here this way, and as soon as it has creep spreading here, it would go straight down this way. Creep tumor in my main would go from here sideways, it would jump down to the low ground here and go down this way. And the third tumor would just go out this way, and then I would add on more creep hallways and pathways from there. But those would be my first initial creep paths. It just basically connects all my bases, and it gives me creep in the front of all my hatcheries in case he wants to do some type of push in the future. In the near future, like a zealot charge lot all in or some shit like that. It gives me a good creep highway to, you know, to rotate between all my bases and defend really well against it. But anyways, back to the game. We see a Stargate with our Overlord, and we are now chilling at it the whole time. We're not moving our Overlord at all. We're watching what he builds out of it, and we can see an Oracle is being built out of it first. You can actually tell it's an Oracle. You don't have to scroll in, but you can if you pay attention, you can see an Oracle right there where the green box is. And I'll hit play for a second so you can see it. The Oracle gets, like, the image of the Stargate unit gets revealed as it's built. And the more comfortable you get with doing this more often, it becomes easier to tell what it is. The easiest way to tell is an Oracle and a Phoenix are the only two units in the Stargate that are going to be relatively small. A Tempest, a Void Ray, and a Carrier are going to be a bit larger because a Void Ray is kind of in between though. But a Void Ray is like a big fucking banana in the Stargate. A Carrier and a Tempest are humongous. They're very obvious. But an Oracle and a Phoenix are the smaller units, so they're going to be a little bit harder to read. But all you got to do to differentiate between the two is a Phoenix has wings in the front. You can see it right here on the bottom tooltip part. The wings are pretty obvious if you see them. You can tell it's a Phoenix if it is a Phoenix, and if you don't see the little wings in the front, it's an Oracle. And then if you really want to just technically look at it, you can go, oh look, it's a little fat circle body. So it's an Oracle. And an Oracle also has the two pointy front things. It's like two front fins or whatever. But you can tell it's an Oracle. So I know it's an Oracle, and what this means is I'm gonna delay, or I'm not gonna delay my spores. If it was a Phoenix, I would delay my spores for about 30 seconds. But I'll tell you why in a second. But since it's an Oracle, I'm going to be building my spores. I should be building them like right now. And the reason why is because an Oracle is most likely going to immediately fly across the map, all the way up, across the map, and he's going to turn on his little beam, pulsar beam or whatever it's called, and he's going to kill as many drones as possible. That is what his goal is going to be. And if I start a spore crawler, like just a couple seconds after this Oracle has been started in a Stargate, my spores will be done by the time he gets across the map, and it will give me maximum drone saturation time. But I am going to not be able to spin all my larvae perfectly if it's an Oracle first. This is what I was talking about with the Phoenix and why it's important. See how I have 5 larvae right now, and do you see how I only have 160 minerals? I can't physically spend all my money right now. It's impossible. It would take 250 minerals to spend that, and I only have 160. On top of that, making a spore color is 75 minerals a piece, so it's going to take 225 minerals to cover all 3 of my bases. So I really can't spend my money, or I can't spend my larva at all right now, because my priority now is going to be spore colors. But if this was a Phoenix, I could delay my spores for about another like 20 to 30 seconds from what it is right now. And instead I could build my spores at like 350. And I could actually then spend I could actually now just spend all my resources on my larva, and I would actually then be building spores when I have 0 larvae, which means I have maximum saturation as fast as possible. And, you know, it makes a big deal. The faster you saturate your bases, the bigger deal it is. And to give you guys kind of a realistic number here as to why that's important. If you see a base here that says 16 out of 16, and you see a base here that says 16 out of 16, if the base is optimally saturated, okay, where there's not over excess drones here, sometimes you get a little bit of a 3 stack on a mineral patch when ideally it should be 2 per patch. But generally speaking, if a base is only at optimal saturation, where it's 16 out of 16, each drone ideally is going to be mining 1 mineral per second, okay? So every 5 seconds is a 5 mineral, like every single turn in is 5 minerals, and every single time a drone goes to mine minerals, it takes about 5 seconds to do it, to go in and return it, go in and return it. So it breaks down to roughly about a mineral a second, which means I have about 16 minerals a second coming out of this base, and 16 minerals out of a second coming out of this base. And every second that I generate more minerals faster, it means that I can build future things faster to generate more things later on. Like if I generate minerals a little bit faster in the early game, it allows me to spin my future larva. I get faster. I can inject and spin that larva faster. I can take a 4th base faster. It it cascades throughout the game with doing everything faster, which is why if you're someone who's in a lower league and you don't understand why a pro gamer or someone who's really high level does things way faster than you, like when they have, let's say they have 200 supply at the same time in the game when you only have 110, and you're like, what the hell? Why is that? It's because of things like this. It's because it's like a ripple effect with your economy. So the faster you spend your money and the more optimally you saturate as quick as possible, the better your economy is going to be throughout the game, and the more money you're just going to have in total to spend. But anyways, back to what we're talking about here. Since it's an Oracle first, we are going to make spores. And now, also because I have not killed the first adept yet, it's kind of just running around my base. I am also going to start more lings now. I'm going to start 4 more, okay? So I have 6, and now I'm going to go to 10. And the reason why this is, or 12 is also fine. I went to 12. That's also fine. The reason why is because now if the Protoss player kept making adepts and he comes back with 2 adepts, I'm going to pause it one more time because it's important. If the Protoss player comes back with 2 adepts, this is the only point in the game when your bases will have dead space between the creep. Notice how if he has a second, let's just look at the whole map here really fast. He has a second adept actually already, but he's not actually attacking me with it. He's only still attacking me with 1. This is not your average Protoss player, because an average Protoss player will have known that because I was going gasless, there is no reason why he has to block his wall like this. If I'm going gasless and he has 1 adept scouting my base saying that I'm making drones, he knows that there's no potential of like a speedling counterattack. It's impossible. So generally, if a Protoss is going to realize that, they will always attack you with 2 adepts, if they're going to go for the adepts early. Some Protosses don't go adepts at all, it's weird. But most Protosses will, and most Protosses will bring their future adepts with their first one. It will happen. But and the time it would take a Protoss player to have a second adept, which he could totally have here, like the second adept could totally be right there right now, if this one had come across the map. This is the only part of the game where I'm not going to have creep touching my other creep. So there's I don't ever want to chase these adepts off creep with my lings, unless I almost feel like I'm going to guaranteed get us around and kill them. But chasing the adepts off the creep is almost like chasing a Reaper off creep with slow lings as well. It's just usually going to end in you losing a lot of units for nothing. So really what you want to do is you want to just guard your creep. But if I can connect my creep now, my lings become way more powerful, because if you look at the movement speed here, okay? Look at the movement speed. My ling without speed is 4.13, and an adept is 3.5. So already a ling without speed is a little bit faster than an adept. But a ling with creep as well is now at 5.27. Or sorry, 5.37. So 5.37 versus 3.5 is insane. That's like a humongous speed increase for a ling over an adept. And if you have creep connecting your bases, if the adepts try to go to your natural, to your natural or your third, it doesn't really matter. If they walk onto a creep path and you get them on creep, there is a very high chance you can surround and kill them on creep. And the way you attack your lings on creep is you don't just A-move it and watch it happen. You don't just attack the adept. Like, you don't just go, lings, attack adept, and just forget about it. What you ideally want to do is you want to run past the adept. All your lings are selected, and you run past the adept. And as some of your lings are running past the adept, you then A-move the ground, and your lings will be already surrounding it, and then you get a full surround on the adept. That's how ideally you want to micro this. And it's easier, like I said, it's easier to do this on creep because your lings run quite a bit faster than an adept. Even though they don't have move speed, they still run quite a bit faster than the adept on creep. It's like 60% faster, or like 55% or some shit. It's it's a big difference. You'll see it in this game. But notice how we're not ever leaving our creep. We're just waiting for the creep to connect. And now I have spores too for the Oracle, because he went Oracle first. And now behind this, we're just droning still. And since he showed me his Stargate, this is a huge thing too. Gas timing is really important. We started our gas around 340 to 350. That's the window of time that we took our gas. So between 340 and 350 is when we started building 2 gases. It does not matter what base you build your gases at. I would just say ideally you'd want to build it at probably one of your expansions. Most commonly it's going to be your natural, and here's why. Okay, I did my third base because this is actually my natural this game, But the reason why ideally you don't want to build the gases in your main base first is because a lot of times what'll happen in early game is you'll have time where nothing is going on, okay? We're talking about like the first minute of the game. Nothing's going on. So there's nothing stopping you from meticulously grabbing all your drones and going 2 per patch, 2 per patch, 2 per patch, 2 per patch, 2 per patch. And as long as you know, if you don't need to take gases at all your bases at once, you might as well let this base stay optimally saturated. Don't just start building shit here and making the drones possibly go back to like 3 per patch, 1 per patch, stuff like that. If you just optimally saturate 2 per patch over here, and you take gases at your natural, which is currently undergoing saturation, like this base is still undergoing saturation. It's now fully saturated, but drones are just now getting there. See how there's like a lot of drones stacked up over here. There's still only 3 drones on this side. It's because drones are still, and these drones are rotating over. It's not fully set up yet. So while it's still not fully set up yet, why not just have these drones be the ones that mine gas, because this base is still undergoing saturation. So we're not disrupting our good economy here, which is 1 mineral per second income, which is 16 minerals a second, because we have 16 drones on it. Does that make sense? It's just optimizing your economy. Obviously you can still do like gases in your main if you want to open with a gas build and shit like that. That's totally fine. But for a gasless build where you're going to take gases late, you might as well do it at your natural. And again, for anyone who's like, what the vibe, that's your third base. This was my natural this game because he pylon blocked my actual natural. So this is my first hatchery that I built. Anyways, Stargate 340 to 350 is when you want to take your gases, because it allows you to spend all of your larvae for minerals, and it's going to make, look at the drone count in a second here. You guys ready? Look up here in the top left. Get ready to see the worker count. Notice how it's already tied, and at this point in the game, it's only 4 minutes and 20 seconds. We're already tied with Protoss, and this Protoss player has been chrono boosting probes, you know, all game. This drone count is going to explode really, really soon here, because at this point now, this is when the injects of the hatcheries really kick in. And if I hit play really fast, look at the production really fast. We have 1 probe being produced right now, and we have 6 drones. Now we have another probe being produced. Like, the rate at which drones are going to be built over... Now we have 5 drones versus 1 probe. The rate at which drones at this point now are going to be built over probes is going to get really insane. So the worker count, you can already see we've already now taken the lead. We're going to, like... This build keeps up with Protoss is basically what I'm trying to say. It keeps up with Protoss in the early game really well with worker count. And then you just explode past them onto 3 base saturation. So by the time I hit 66 probes, this Protoss will probably be at like 52 probes. Or something like that. A lot of times if you go for a speedling opener and you make like a round of like 20 lings, the Protoss player will have 38, 39 probes, and you'll be at like 30 drones. You'll have like a lot less. And lastly, one more thing about the gas timing. I know I'm giving you guys a lot of info here, but you can always back it up. Rewatch a little bit of the video here. But this is important, okay? So far, we scouted a gas build, all right? If this was not a... Alright, sorry, we scouted a Stargate build is what I meant to say. And with the Stargate build, I told you all about the gas, when to take it with 340 to 350. If this was not a Stargate, and I scouted... my first Overlord here. If it scouted his base, and I saw either a Twilight Council, a Robo, or it just straight up died because a Stalker came over and killed it, okay? Something happened that is not Stargate. I would have taken my gases at 2 minutes and 50 seconds instead of 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And I would not have built spores. And the reason why is because if you take your gas at 2 minutes and 50 seconds versus anything that is not a Stargate, what this does is your first 100 gas goes... And you're still going to make drones during this, okay? Keep that in mind. Like, I'll still make the lings like I did this game to deal with the adepts, but I am still going to drone behind this. But if you take the gas at 250, what that does is it gives you a really quick layer, which allows you to have an Overseer before every single Dark Templar timing could ever hit you by just like maybe like 10 seconds. It's very close. It cuts it really fucking thin. So if you morph an what usually happens is if you morph an Overseer in your natural, and the Protoss player rushes DTs either at your main or at your third, your Overseer can turn that direction, whatever the way the DTs are coming, and you will get there as the DTs get there, and you'll deny it. You'll completely shut down the DT timing. Or if the Protoss player is going for like a charge lot all-in or an Adept glaive all-in, some type of an all-in with Twilight Council based units, like for upgrades. So it's basically gateway units. It allows you to have a really fast roach speed upgrade, and just to make roaches nonstop. You just make, by the time the timing would hit you, you would have like 12 roaches already out, and then you could have 3 hatcheries producing roaches, like probably, you know, a roach every single 5 seconds pops out of the hatcheries, basically, at that point. So you just get, you know, by the time he gets there, you fight him with your initial roaches here and there, and your roach speed kicks in shortly after that, and then you start just overpowering him with roaches. It happens all the time against Protosses who just do 2 base timings. But, you know, that's not this game. So we can talk more about that in a game that actually happens in, but just giving you an idea that that's what it would be like, okay? Kind of a tangent. I'm not going to go too deep into that because it's not at all what's happening in this game. We'll just focus more on this game, but I'm just trying to give you guys a rough idea, I guess, of why Gasless is actually really solid, and why it's not like it's not like, oh well, if he would have gone charge lots, you just die. Like, it's not true at all. Anyways, back to this game. All right. So we see he's making a Void Ray. This is a bit unusual. Not every Protoss plays like this. And we even see he made a second Stargate here. If we were paying attention. I actually didn't notice that when I played this game. Not gonna lie. I thought I didn't notice that. If I would have noticed that, I would have probably changed a lot about what I'm about to do. He built a second Stargate under my Overlord. Anyways, we're droning. We scouted his third base just before 5 minutes. And the way Protoss' thirds work is if they take a third base between 4 minutes 50 and 5 minutes, they're guaranteed macroing. It means they've only got 1-1-1 or something like that, and then they take a third base. And if you don't know what I mean by 1-1-1, I mean like he's got a his tech is like core, council, and something, or it's like gateway, core, Stargate. More likely, we saw a Stargate, so it's gateway, core, Stargate is more what I'm trying to say here. It's not like there's like four gateways in his base. If the third, okay, I gotta pause it because we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. If the gateway, or sorry, if the Nexus is taken at 450, right around there, it means there's not a lot of production. If it's taken at 5 minutes, it means there's probably like 2 gates in his base or something like that, with whatever else tech he has. If it is taken like 10 seconds later than that, like let's say the third's taken around 5:10, there's a chance there's like 3 gateways in his base. If the third's taken at like 5:20, there's a very high chance there's like 4 gateways in his base. But if we get to a point where the third's not even taken by about 5 minutes 20 seconds, okay, my best guess for you would be this very high chance that the Protoss player is not even going to take a third, and there's actually like 7 or 8 gateways in his base, and he's going to all in you with a shitload of gateway units. So scouting the third timing of the Protoss player is insanely important, and it's a good thing. Like with this Gasless build, it synergizes well because the Lings I tell you guys to make early to deal with the Adepts when your bases are still spread apart on creep, it's important not to lose your drones like this. Once you've stabilized your base and your creep is now spreading out and stuff like that, you can actually send your Lings out around like 4 minutes and 10 seconds or 4 minutes and 20 seconds. You can just send 2 Lings is all you have to do. 1 Ling go to both potential thirds. Well, this Ling is still here. You can see it's still sitting here. But the other Ling went down this way and it scouted this base and it died. But in the process of doing that, it scouted a pylon and a third base already there. And you cannot build a third Nexus when he did it, which was around 4 minutes 50. You cannot build it that fast if you're not actually taking a third base. Like, you can't build a third base at 4 minutes 50 and also just have 7 gates in your base. It's impossible. You cannot do that. Like, you physically can't do that. Unless he had, like, let's say 8 probes on the natural and, like, 11 probes on the main, and he just saved up a bunch of money instead of building more probes. which meant that he would just generate shitty money from then on and have no way to spend money on those gates. Like, it's just fucking not possible, is my point. So, you have to, like there's a limitation to how much money the Protoss has, and that's what it is. If the third is taken around 450, there is no massive amount of production coming out of his base. It doesn't mean that he can't build it now. He could totally start, like, 5 gates now, after the third was done. Like, you know, after it started, then he could, every bit of money he makes then could be like, gateway, 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 gateway. There's nothing stopping him from doing that. But that does mean his all-in timing would hit you later than it would if you built those gates before the Nexus. Yeah. And when do I take the Roach Warren? I take the Roach Warren when I go against pretty much any build. Don't think about a third in terms of like the time that I take it. It's more based on when I take my layer, okay? If I take my third base, or sorry, if I take my my gases against a non-Stargate opener around 2 minutes 50 seconds, like I was talking about earlier, and I make a layer really fast, the first thing I will do after I make a layer is I'll make a Roach Warren. Now, let's say I take my gases at like 3 minutes 40 seconds, okay? I will take my gases then, and I will take my Roach Warren. I guess I don't take it as I take the layer, but I'll take it late. This is actually with time, I guess. Sorry, it's a bit confusing. If I take my gases around like 3 minutes 40 seconds because I know I'm playing against the Stargate, I will actually throw my Roach Warren down around like 4 minutes 10 seconds. And the reason why I do this is because I'm able to have all my larvae spent, and I have a little bit of excess money to where it's not going to hiccup my economy at all. And the Roach Warren, if it goes down at 4 minutes 10 seconds, not only does it not hiccup my economy, but it will also give me the ability to make roaches to defend against a 2-base all-in if this Protoss so chooses to do that, even though he opens Stargate. Some Protosses open up with the Stargate and then just go for this big flood of units right after it happens. So yeah, about like 4 minutes 10 seconds against the Stargate, and the first thing I build after the layer against non-Stargate openers. And now that we're pretty much fully saturated on 3 bases, we're just finishing off a couple more drones here. We're now done. We take a 4th base. We just start a 4th base roughly around the same time my layer just finished to start also my hydrogen and my evo chamber. This is so that if this Protoss player gets greedy and defensive, I can saturate it and take a 4th base against the 3rd base Protoss. But if the Protoss player plays aggressive and he goes for these like big attacks now, I can defend myself and start transferring my drones as they start mining out in about a minute here. I can transfer them out of my main to my 4th base. And the 4th base itself also just gives me extra creep. Or, creep. It gives me extra larva as well. And my creep spreading queen, ideally, will go become an injecting queen because I'll have like, at this point, I'll usually have like 7 or 8 active tumors already. Okay, I totally was blind when I played this game. Because not only did I just see it again here, I do remember when I played this game, I was also streaming, okay? Keep that in mind, okay, YouTube? I was streaming when I played this game, and I was talking about bullshit. Who knows? But I have, like, no reaction to these Void Rays, nor did I have a reaction to multiple Stargates. Even though I see everything. I was very distracted when I played this game. But I totally should have made a defense right now. This is what should have happened, okay? Seeing this right now, going, holy shit, that's a lot of Void Rays. My response should have been exactly this. Select all my hatcheries. Queen, 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 queen. Start a queen out of every single base. And then go spore, spore. Spore, spore. Spore, spore. And then go drone, 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 drone. Fix my saturation from the spores I just made and start making queens. If these Void Rays get to my main base and I had all my queens grouped up, which is currently 4, and by the time they get to my base, I guarantee the queens out of all my bases would spawn, and I could grab the queen out of my main and my natural as he starts attacking my spore crawlers. And I could have like 6 queens fighting 5 Void Rays while also having a couple spores here supporting them. That guaranteed could have happened, and I guaranteed could have saved my main base if that's what I did. Because queens perform amazingly against Void Rays. They're really good. That's what should have happened, okay? Just know that. That's what should have happened. I could still go Roach Hydra eventually. That could be my composition. But I should have made queens right now. And then once with my extra larva that I don't need to spin anymore because I'm fully saturated, should be Hydralisk. That's what should happen. I don't react to it at all, just so you guys know. I remember not reacting to it, and I lose my main base. It was really fail. So we're doing a little bit of economic damage here, which is nice. I'm going to pause one more time really fast. Normally, this Roach attack I'm doing is what I'll do to a Protoss player no matter what they're doing. This will be my... This is more of my poke the Protoss to find out. It's like a scout, okay? This is not like an all-in. I'm already fully saturated on 3 bases when I made these Roaches. These Roaches were basically my safety net. They are literally a safety net, just in case the Protoss player decides to do like an attack with like 7 Adepts or something like that. He just wants to do a little bit of pressure. These Roaches would be the defense against that, and since he never did that, and now I'm ready to either saturate a 4th base or continue making units, I sent these Roaches across the map to scout what he's doing. When I got here, I saw, oh look, he's got a cannon, he's got a Void Ray, and he's got a couple sentries. I did also see Void Rays, but I didn't pay attention to it. I have no reaction to it. I didn't physically see it myself, even though my units in the game saw it. Because again, I was playing this game like super distracted, okay? Give me a fucking break, guys. It wasn't perfect, okay? But we'll get there, alright? But yeah, I should have reacted to it, like I said, how I said earlier. But these Roaches ideally they're always going to scout. Like if I'm playing against a Protoss who's not doing Void Rays, let's say, I would scout his base and go, oh look, he's making charge lots, Archons, Immortals, whatever. And these Roaches, ideally what they would do, if he's making a charge lot based composition, which is what a lot of Protosses do, I would just have these Roaches attack the Zealots and just back up, attack, back up, attack, back up. They would kite the Zealots backwards and just take decent trades where I would kill, like, let's say 10 Zealots and I would lose like 8 Roaches. It would totally happen. And then I would just fall back. And while I'm doing this, if I think I'm going to take too much damage, like if I think the Protoss is going to get really aggro, he's going to just go crazy really fast, I won't saturate my 4th base, and I'll just make units to prepare for the incoming timing. But if I think the Protoss player is just going to stay here defensively for a little bit longer, and my Roaches are keeping him defensive and thinning out his army a little bit, and basically, if I feel like I have a little bit of time to prepare for an eventual Protoss attack, what I'll do instead, while I'm keeping it busy with Roaches, is I will saturate my 4th base with about 16 drones. I'm not going to saturate it with 22, which is ideally what you want to have a full saturation base. I'll saturate it with about 16. So I'll have about 6 on the gas. I'll guarantee to have 6 on the gas, and I'll have 10 on the mineral line. And you might ask yourself, ViBE, why do you do that? The reason why I would do 16 drones on the mineral line instead of 22 is because my main mineral line is also about to start mining out, and I'm going to rotate 6 drones out of my main to my 4th base, and then the extra drones that this base is about to go 8 required with 16 on it. So I'm gonna have 8 drones that are free to do whatever the fuck they want. They're just gonna have no job anymore, basically. It's gonna be redundancy. So 6 out of these 8 drones are gonna go down here to my 4th base, and then drone number 7 is gonna become an infestation pit, and drone number 8 is going to become a spire. As soon as the infestation pit's done, I'm going to then make a spire and make a hive. I'm going to time it to where I make a hive and a spire at the same time. That is what will happen. And then from there, I'll have 3 bases. 3 of my 4 bases will still be 16, 16, 16 on every mineral line, and I'll have 8 out of 8 on the main. So I'll still be fully saturated on 3.5 bases, which is great. That's a super healthy, strong economy for Zerg. And it would be the phase of the game where you would be like, all right, let's make fucking Hydras and stuff like that, and whatever units I want to make. That's what would normally happen. Now, surprise, Void Rays. See, I didn't react to this at all. I was like, oh shit, he went Void Rays. Like, I didn't notice. It's really fail that I let that happen. But now, as a reaction to this, I go, alright, let's start a layer at my 3rd base, and let's start spores immediately at my natural. And here's why I'm doing what I'm doing. there's a chance that my natural could be compromised right away. If these Void Rays, instead of sitting here killing my pool, killing all my tech, if they didn't do that, and they went straight to my natural, these Spore Crawlers would help buy a little bit of time for me to then deal with it. And if you look at Production tab, I'm also building Hydras. The Spore Crawlers would basically buy me enough time to spawn and zone out the Void Ray before they kill more of my bases if they were to go straight across a line of all my expansions. But this base over here is totally dead. It is 100% dead, and the layer got sniped like immediately. So, because these Void Rays hit really hard, especially with a weapon upgrade when they have the Pulsar beam on, or Prismatic Alignment, whatever it's called. That shit hurts. So it killed my building really fast. So now I have to wait for my new layer to finish over here to rebuild my tech, because this stuff is all going to die. And in doing this, I know I just did a lot of damage to his economy, okay? I just hit his economy hard with my roaches, and he just hit my base really hard with my tech with his Void Rays. So my decision here is going to be, I'm going to get all these drones and evacuate them, and I'm going to send them to a new base. I'm going to use these drones to finish fully saturating my fourth base over here, and I'm going to just take a new base somewhere else away from where his Void Rays currently are. I'm not going to take this base right now because he could just fly down and kill it. This base is a bit risky as well because he could just fly down and possibly kill it. I'm actually going to take this base over here because it's the furthest base away from the Void Ray, which gives me the biggest amount of time to make Hydras to then prepare to fight against the Void Ray. Because you also got to keep in mind, there's a high chance my Hydra Den is going to die, so I might have to actually wait until I build a new Hydra Den over here when this layer is done. So, time is what I need right now. And also, I have decent creep spread over here too, so my creep spread is going to be able to cover this base. If I were to make Hydras, they could totally rotate down here and defend it. It's very likely. But as long as I don't lose my drones, I should have an economy lead. And look at what it is right now. It's 79 drones for us to 51 for him because we just killed 17 of his probes, which is great. It's amazing. It's really good. And we also can see he also has Void Rays down here. So not only does he have a shitload of Void Rays up here, he's got more on the bottom. So it seems like this guy's going mass Void Ray. Like there's not really much else going on other than Void Rays. So as soon as my layer is done, ideally what would be a great idea would be Hydraless Den, rebuild it, Infestation Pit. And the reason why we're going to make an Infestation Pit is because we're actually going to make Infestors. Because Infestors will be able to zone the Hydras really well with a fungal growth. Void Rays tend to stack really hard, like an air unit does in this game. If we fungal growth his army, not only will the fungals do damage, but it'll keep his army slow so that my Hydras can jump on the Void Ray and kill a lot of them really effectively. So, I'm gonna pause it one more time because I see a question it's relevant. It's good. Do I go Hydra speed or do I go Hydra range first? Every single game with a build like this, okay? With everything I've told you up to this point, how I like test the water here with the roaches and I poke and see what he's doing, and I have 4 bases prepared. This build has absolutely no problem being a little bit defensive. There's no way you're not going to be behind if you're being defensive with this build because this build is so greedy. You have a very powerful, strong economy, as we can see up here. Look at this economy, boys. I am mining more than my opponent right now, which means every second that goes by in this game, if nothing happens, I'm getting a little bit further ahead because I'm generating a bigger bank than my opponent. All right? So it's totally fine to be defensive. And if you're going to be defensive, the better upgrade to get is range. And here's why. If I go for range upgrade, what that means is my Hydras aren't going to be able to move around as fast, but they can take a bigger concave than Hydras without range upgrade. So if the opponent, okay, if he wants to attack me right now, and I only have 1 upgrade, if I have a speed upgrade, it means that my Hydras have to commit closer into the fight. Less of them can be in a concave because I have to be closer to him, and that's just how concaves work. If my Hydras have to stand here, versus if they can stand a little bit further back, The further back you are, the bigger of an arc you can make on your units. That's just how range works in this game. Because you have more surface area you can use, because your units can shoot further. So, if I have speed upgrade, what's going to happen is he's going to close the distance eventually. He'll get in my face, and he'll fight me. And the only way I can really fight back is if I I shoot once and I retreat. I shoot once and I retreat. I shoot once and I retreat. But there's a lot of units that Protoss has that are going to close the distance faster than your Hydras will generate the distance. Like if he has charge lots, okay? If he has a bunch of charge lots coming at me, with maybe like some Sentry Immortal behind it or some shit like that, my Hydras, sure, they'll be able to shoot once and back up, shoot once and back up, but his Zealots will close the distance faster, etc., etc., etc. It's not the worst thing in the world to have like a speed upgrade, but it's not as good as range, I would say, because with range, what I can do is defensively, I can just spread my army out and absorb his attack a lot more effectively, because I'll have more DPS output as he engages me. Also, the biggest thing of all that I haven't even said yet is if the Protoss player goes for a sentry-based army. Okay? Anything with sentries. What would happen is his sentries will come forward and they're obviously going to try to force field you. But if he force fields you, you can actually shoot over the force fields really well and shoot over the force fields and still hit his units if you have a range upgrade. It makes sentries way weaker if you have a range upgrade, because you can your units can work around the blockades that are happening really well with still DPSing. And if you're standing on creep, you should still have enough mobility on your Hydras defensively to move out of like a Hydra walks faster than a sentry on creep, okay? Even without a speed upgrade. So you should still be able to walk backwards away from the sentries if you think he's about to force field your Hydras and lock him in place. Hydras run faster than sentries. So you should still even be able to avoid that even though you don't have a speed upgrade. Because you have creep, which is like basically a speed upgrade in itself. As long as you're spreading your creep. It's simple. Creep is like also insanely important with this, by the way. You need to have the creep. It's super important. But Hydras can absorb all types of toss timings better than if you had speed. Simply put, if you want to do a TLDR, too long, didn't read, if you're going to go for a speed upgrade, it's better if you're going to be aggressive really fast if you can only have one upgrade. Because if you attack with speed, not only do you get to his base a little bit faster, but if you need to retreat, you can retreat a little bit better because more of your Hydras will get out faster. And you'll lose less retreating back to your base in case you lost that fight. So, if you're going to be aggressive, speed's great. But because this is a economy-centric build, being defensive is more the name of the game here at the beginning of the game. So, range is better because range is a better defensive upgrade. Does that make sense? I'm not going for this Hydra timing right now, so speed is not really the priority here. And the timing that it could be, you're not going to see shit like Colossus, by the way. A Colossus could not happen in the time I would only have one Hydra upgrade. If there was Colossus, I would guaranteed have both upgrades done. Because Colossus take a while to get, so I would have both upgrades by then. But yeah, we are still droning. We're fixing our base up a bit. Again, we're going for Infestors and Hydras because he's going Massive Void Ray. Our creep is looking pretty decent. And what we want to do now is we kind of just want to like test the waters here. We don't really want to overextend off my creep, ideally. But we do want to kind of poke around and see if I can pick things off while being close to our creep. Because the one thing about Void Rays are, they're not the strongest units really early on. Like, Void Rays become better the more there are and stuff like that. Like, if it goes into, like, he ultimately just gets Sky Toss, Void Rays could become a bit scarier then, mixed in with, like, carriers and stuff like that. But if we're talking really early on where he has, like, 8 Void Rays and that's it, that's really not that scary of an army. Mass Hydra could beat that. You just got to be careful, though, because I don't know, you know, if he's going to commit to just going only Void Ray still. He could make something with Gateway at this point. He could make Charge Slots. He could make Storm. He could do something with the Void Ray. This is a lot of Void Ray. There you go. This is actually getting to a scary number of Void Ray. This is like 15 Void Rays over here. There's some in the fog now. Or it's actually it's 14 Void Rays. It looks like a scary amount of Void Ray. Once you start fighting about this much, it's kind of different. You don't really want to just A-move it with your Hydras, and instead, seeing that many Void Ray, ideally what I would want to do is I would want to wait for Infestors now to engage that. And I notice how I never committed to his base off my creep either up to this point. I'm always around my creep, and luckily for me, my creep spread's pretty good this game, so my creep is actually near his base. Kind of poke forward. If he were to be right here, it would be a situation where I would probably back up towards my creep a little bit more. You see a pylon. See, now I don't really agree with what I'm doing at the moment. I'm kind of this right here. This is going a bit too deep. I'm going a little bit too far. If anything, I should have just sent like maybe one roach to go scout and see if he has a base here, rather than kind of running my whole army over here. Because right now, if he were to come around right here, and if he had an army right here, let's just say he saw, he had an observer watching me, and he sees me where I'm committing really deep now. If he were to attack me, I would have to run a pretty decent, like a full screen length, basically, of distance back to creep before I would be safe. But creep basically means I'm safe, because my entire army can outrun his entire army if I'm on creep. That's just how it works. So this is a bit of a mistake. I don't agree with how I'm committing like this. I should be backing up a little bit. And there he is. Now we're starting to kite back here. This is a better place to engage, I would say. But I still think I kind of committed a little bit too hard. I should have just... If my army was like already here, rather than coming up the ramp, that would have been way better. I kind of like hesitated down here for a little too long. I shouldn't have gone this deep in the first place. But now that I see him, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to walk my Infestors backwards the whole time while fungal kiting his army. I'm trying to keep his power units in the back locked down, because a unit while it's fungal growth is going to move really, really, really slow. A void ray while fungal growth is moving at 0.88 speed. Not even 1. It's just 0.88. So it's super fucking slow. And what's happening is a lot of his zealots are trickling forward, and we're just sniping the zealots. We're just basically trying to take a cost-efficient trade here. That's ideally what the plan is. And if he eats a lot of fungal growths and a lot of his void rays get down to like half health, because fungal does do a lot of damage, by the way. It does 30 damage, and a void ray has 250 health. So if you break that down in numbers, that means that what is that? 9 fungals? No, it's 8 fungals. No, wait. No, it's 9. Sorry, it is 9. 9 fungals will do 270 damage. Sorry, there's really not hard math. It's 9 times 3. 9 fungals will actually kill a void ray. And I have right now, I have 7 infestors, and none of them have enough fungals yet for 2 each, because it takes 75 to cast one, and these infestors have roughly 100 on each one because they were built recently. But still, if I have 7 fungals and I fungal these void rays 7 times, let's just say hypothetically he just ate it over and over 7 times, all these void rays will be living with about like 40 to 50 hit points left. And my Hydras could then walk forward and be like, just picking them all off super fast. So it wouldn't be bad. Does fungal damage stack? It does not. So the way fungal works is it refreshes the duration if you cast another one. So if a fungal lasts... Here's a better way to explain it. Let's just say a fungal lasts for 3 seconds. How long does it actually last? It does. Okay, exactly. I thought it lasted for 4 seconds. A fungal lasts for 3 seconds, and it does 30 damage, which, if you break it down, it does 10 damage a second. So what that means is, if I cast a fungal, and let's say the damage goes 10, 20, which means we're now at 2 seconds, and another fungal hits right then, that 3rd second is now gone, and now it goes 10, 20. Like, it starts over. Every time a fungal hits a unit, it just applies the fungal, and if there was a second left on the previous fungal, it just gets removed. And it's now the new fungal. So it just refreshes it every time you cast a fungal. So ideally, you want to time it as well as you can, so you don't waste damage. But if you do stack it here and there a little bit, it's not that big of a deal, because you're still going to get the majority of the damage if you're missing a second here and there sometimes. And the bigger thing I'm doing here too is the fungal damage is great. I love it. You know, it helps a lot. But the bigger thing we're doing is we're zoning out his real damage of his army. Like, these zealots are nowhere near the same amount of DPS as these void ray. a bit of a mismicro. And now he's got Storm. I should pull back here. We've both kind of fucked each other up pretty bad because as I at first fungled him down here, I killed most of his zealots. He has 5 zealots at this point. Most of the zealots died. So since they all died, it made these Void Rays a lot more vulnerable, and also these Void Rays were a bit softened up from the fungals. You can see, look if I mouse over all of them. A couple of them have shields, but 0, 0, 23, so that's got a decent amount, 195, 0. So like half the Void Rays, okay? Half the Void Rays are like really low on shields, and the other half still have high shields because the fungal didn't affect all of them. But we took a fight here, and we lost a little bit, he lost a little bit, but really at the end of the day here, we should probably back up now because there's still, I would say, too many Void Rays left over. But it's not, it hasn't been a bad trade yet. We picked off a couple of Void Ray while not losing a ton of Hydras yet. Okay, well, I'm actually getting a couple juicy fungals again. So this, I would say this is not, like, I just lost a little bit more Hydras, sure, in doing that, but it actually set up a new fungal. I would say that's a little bit more of a risk. This is kind of like we're slamming each other to the point of where we're both going to die. Like, it's getting a little risky for both of us, but I'm landing some really juicy fungals now. And now we are actually out of fungal growth energy. And now you can look at the Void Rays, and now you see 0, 0, 0, 10, 18, 0, 0, 40, 0, 40. He lost about a third of his Void Rays, which are much harder to replace than Hydras. Also, Void Rays are more expensive than Hydras. But here's the big thing, okay? The Void Rays were not his entire army. He had Templar here, he had Zealot here, and he had Voider here. This Archon really wasn't in the fight. But we had Infestor and we had Hydra. We didn't really lose any of our Infestors other than that one that died down here. Because we had 7 and now we have 6. So if I can get all my Infestors out of this fight right now, which they can totally retreat because they run faster than Void Rays fly on creep, it'll be a good trade for me. And I should just rebuild some new Hydras. We're actually regrouping with a bit more Hydras now, and we're trying to take the fight a little bit with these weakened Void Rays. This is a bit questionable. I kind of don't like that idea. Just because my Infestors are so close to fungal growth again. I have 6 Infestors that are roughly 10 to 15 energy away from a new fungal, which is going to take about 10 seconds to get. Like around like 12:16 to like 12:20, I'll probably have fungals getting ready to be queued up again. And if I were to wait for that, and then if this guy is still staying here, stacked up like this, I could kill this entire army guaranteed. If I still have Hydras alive before that. So if I take a fight here, I don't really agree with that. I should back up until I have more fungal energy. And now we have fungal energy. We can start fungling again. You can see I have fungals ready to go again. But he's actually backing up, so it's okay, whatever. But now, we do know he already has charge lots, and now he's starting to add Archons. So this is starting to get to that point where it's like a little bit scarier. So what I should do, ultimately at this point, is I already have a Hive now. I should actually start adding in something like Greater Spire and going into possibly into Broodlord Corruptor. Not right this second, but I should get ready to transition into that somewhat soon. Because if this guy starts adding in Archons and he goes Archon Void Ray, I could beat Archon Void Ray with pure Hydra Infestor. But if he doesn't make Void Rays anymore and he starts adding in Archons and starts adding in like carriers, and his army becomes the Void Rays that are left over with now Archon Carrier. So his composition is going to be Archon Carrier Void Ray. That is actually really scary for something like Hydra Infestor. It gets really risky then to stay on Hydra Infestor, and that's when I would be like, okay, now I really need to go into like Broodlord Corruptor instead. Because Hydras are insanely squishy against carriers. And Storm.
Mineral field.
Not a bad trade right there. I should leave right now though. This, like, staying here is a fight I will not win. If I lose all these Hydras too, I lose a lot of power on the map. Because I would have to then rebuild a Hydra army. And we can see, look at this. He's making a carrier. This is probably the first of many. So I really want to probably get out of Hydra Tech as soon as possible. At this point now, this is the problem I feel like a lot of Zergs have, is when they say Skytoss is OP, the reason why is because a lot of Zergs stay on Hydra and Fester, or just Hydra-based tech the whole time. And if the Protoss starts switching into carriers, every single additional carrier that comes out makes your overall Hydra composition weaker and weaker and weaker. Like, this carrier-based army it's exponentially powerful the more there are. Because the AI of a carrier, the way it attacks, it has this really like smart AI. It's like hit scan basically. So the carrier does not waste damage on its shots, and all it takes is one attack. One attack from a carrier will essentially one-shot a Hydralisk. Unless you have level 3 Carapace, then it takes like 2 hits. But in general, it takes like 1 hit from a carrier, and if there's a little bit of overkill, because let's say a Hydra is like half health, the way a carrier works is let's say it's going to do 100 damage, okay? It's going to do 100 damage, and the Hydra only has 50 hit points. It will do 50 damage off of one attack. It will do 50 damage to one Hydra, and then it will do 50 damage to the next Hydra nearby. It's a really smart unit, so fighting it with Hydras is like a losing battle, because the AI does not work in your favor. It's like really bad. So we should really just keep these Hydras alive for now, just to buy me some time, because I do want to transition to something better. If this guy were to push right now, though, I have to make more Hydras. So this wasn't that bad of a fight. We actually caught him in a really juicy fungal once again, which allowed us to kill all of the Zealots and zone out the Void Rays long enough to where we killed most of the Zealots. But it made it to where we're basically fighting his army in 2 different parts. We're fighting the Zealots, which are not fungled, and we're fighting them right after the Void Ray Carrier, which are fungled. So fungal's a great tool for that kind of stuff. You can split his army up indirectly by keeping part of his army zoned out of the fight for like just a few seconds. And in a game like StarCraft 2, the way it works is a lot of units in this game do so much DPS so fast that a fight can literally end in a matter of like 5 seconds. So now we're kind of poking across again. I don't mind this that much because we just took a pretty decent fight a second ago. And the other reason why this is not that bad of an idea is because if you look at our creep is like outside of its entire base. Our creep is everywhere. Creep has been great this game. So because we have creep here, if he were to show up right here, right now, I don't have to fight this. I could actually just run home and retreat, and I would lose very little because my army would run away so fast. This over here, this location is a bit less creepy. It's still close, but it's not as... The creep isn't as far out as I would want it to be. Also, I'm going to back it up for 1 second. This is important. This is super important. If you ever find yourself playing against a Protoss who's going Skytoss, killing this building, especially when it's doing this right here, it's spinning really fast. It's rotating. It's doing an upgrade. Killing this building is so important because this upgrade right here, if you guys don't know this, one weapon upgrade is worth 16 damage on a carrier. Okay? So, if you look at a Hydra and you get a weapon upgrade on a Hydra, one weapon upgrade on a Hydra is worth 1 damage. It gets 1 damage per upgrade. But a carrier, the way a carrier works is a carrier has 2 attacks, which means automatically a carrier gets double benefits from upgrades because it has 2 attacks. So instead of saying 6/6, it'll say 7/7 now. On top of that, it has 8 interceptors, and each one of these interceptors gets affected by it. So it's really 2 attacks times 8, which is 16 damage. So killing a cybernetics core is insanely good. It's worth a lot against a carrier-based build. It's super good. And now there he is. We're running away. Again, this is like... I don't have creep directly here right away down this ramp and stuff, so I took a little bit of damage, but for the most part we got out with most of our units. And we're kind of picking some zealots off again. We keep like thinning his army out whenever we feel like we can. Notice how we're trying to zone him again with fungals? And here's the logic. I remember what I was thinking here, and I disagree with what I was thinking. Here's the logic to what I was thinking. I was going, oh, well, why don't I just like, you know, fungal him a little bit here and there and just keep fighting him, letting the carriers launch their interceptors at my hydras and just killing the interceptors. Why don't I just do that? There's only 2 times that logic is ever actually intelligent. And I'll tell you what they are. One situation that logic is intelligent is if I have enough hydras to where if these carriers go out of interceptors, I still guaranteed have enough hydras to then push forward and kill his entire army, because now his carriers can't defend themselves. So at best, what the Protoss could do then is recall his carriers, and I'll pick off as many as I can before he recalls. Now, with the amount of army he has here, and the amount of army I have here, obviously, that's not going to happen. If I were to stand here and aim with my hydras, they're all going to die. Guaranteed. So, doing that for that, if I were to think like that, that's obviously not going to work. The other reason, or the other time when having hydras fight against interceptors like that would be good, would be if the Protoss is running out of money, and you're defending an expansion. And it seems like a cost-efficient fight to kill his interceptors to run him out of money because you're not going to run out of money. That would be the other logical time to do it. Which is kind of what I started doing a little bit, because I did just fuck his bases up a bit. Like, we just killed this base over here. He rebuilt it now. We also denied this base over here. We've done a bit of damage to his economy, and I know that I probably have more mining than he does. And I was also defending this base a little bit. But in reality, I don't have enough hydras to really do that, and I am also transitioning into a different army now. I'm going into corruptors, and I'm going into, actually, I'm making more hydras. I should be going into corruptors soon, and getting ready to go into, like, Broodlord corruptor. But this base right here is so exposed that it's kind of, like, unrealistic to defend it, and I'm also not even mining it fully. It's not even fully saturated. It's undersaturated as well. So this base, sacrificing it would have been a better call than for me to stand here and try to just kill interceptors to reduce his money. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen in a fight like this is I'm just going to lose more resources than he is. And he's actually just going to get a better trade. So it's kind of like counterproductive for me to do that in this exact fight right now. So it seems pointless. So it's a mistake by me. I should just back up right now and just evacuate this base. Don't even bother. And that's what we do. Finally, we do that. So we get out of here. We leave. I'm getting kind of stuck in this situation where I'm feeling like I'm stuck on Hydralisk. I really don't think I should have been stuck on Hydras this long. I think I could have totally maybe taken a little bit less of insane fights, played a little bit safer, and then just transitioned to Broodlords a little bit sooner. So I think that's a mistake I made this game. Is I stayed on Hydratech a little too long. And now he has an observer. The reason why I know this is because he's starting to kill my creep tumors. He has not killed a single creep tumor this entire game before this point. So if you can see in my units here, where the fuck are my infestors? Where are my infestors? What the hell? Okay, there they are. You can see with my infestors, I have Burrow already. I don't actually have Neural Parasite yet. But here's something you can do against someone. If you have infestors and you see a Protoss does not ever kill your creep, let's say you have really good creep and he doesn't ever kill it and he keeps committing to fighting on creep, there's actually nothing stopping you from Neural Parasiting a lot of his expensive units and using them against him, because he won't be able to kill the infestors if they're burrowed while you're neuraling him. Like, can you imagine? Let's just say this hypothetically, okay? Let's say he wasn't killing my creep here, and I had an infestor burrowing forward like this. And then I just grabbed like 2 Templar, alright? Just 2 Templar. And I went feedback, 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 feedback. I feedbacked all the rest of his Templar. And then I cast like a storm on myself or some shit. Or I just ran the 2 Templar into my Hydras while they're still neuraled and I killed them. Something like that would be huge at like being a total game-changing move. if your opponent does not have detection, which he didn't up until right now, because this is the first creep tumor he's killed all game, and now he's starting to kill more creep. But if they have detection and they're killing your creep, don't ever do something like that. It's not worth your time. It's just going to lose units and possibly lose the game for you. But it's a little trick that can work great against people who don't have detection.
A creep tumor is under attack.
And now you can see we actually are switching into corruptors. We're going into melee upgrades because we're going to have to do some type of mineral dump with our resources, which is Zergling. But we're starting to go into corruptor, which is great. So this army now, here's the logic between what this attack was, okay? I'm switching into a better army now. I'm ultimately going for it. And I put myself in this weird position because I stayed on Hydras a bit too long to where this might have become a base trade. And if it would have become a base trade, you can see I already started evacuating my drones. Because I didn't want the possibility of him base trading me and losing my drones for free. If anything, I would rather transfer these drones back over here again to the opposite side of the map, start a new base, and mine a fresh base over there. Meanwhile, these Hydras, if he would have gone for a base trade, would have split across his base as much as possible and killed as many bases as I could as fast as possible. Meanwhile, I would have had Corruptors in the background and Infestors, which would have gotten on top of his army if it would have ever split up a little bit. If he would have done the same thing and been like, oh, well, you're going to split your Hydras across my base? I'll split my carriers across your base. Well, if I have Corruptor Infestor, I could actually kill his carriers if they spread out like that. So this army up here would require him to stay clumped up because of the fear of how much damage this could do if he did spread out. And not to mention that I'm not even done making Corruptors. I'm still going to make more. Like, you know, it's not like I'm just going to stop at this amount. So it's a formidable army if he spreads out, basically. Because 8 Corruptors will kill 1 carrier fucking fast if it's by itself. But he decides to recall. So in him recalling, I just decided, you know, I killed the core again, which is great. Was it upgrading again? Killing the core is amazing because he built it in the exact same spot again. And it was upgrading. He's re-upgrading level 2 weapons again, and we denied it a second time, which is huge. We've been denied his carriers upgrades for so long now. And now we can see his army. He killed a couple of my Hydras, not a big deal, but we're going to try not to throw this army away. But we just did a lot of damage. We denied the upgrade, we denied the base, and we forced a recall. And now we just resaturate the space because he backs off. But we are ultimately going for our transition. So we will look for a way to trade this army out in some way that's cost efficient. Look, there's a carrier right there. That's shit like that. If I was paying attention, that's an opportunity right there. This right here, this was intelligent when I did it first, and then it became a little bit not intelligent. These Corruptors, with the pathing I took on them was I went between his army and between his base. And the reason why is because a lot of Protoss players will do shit like this. Look at where his production is rallied. It's rallied onto another carrier. I can't tell you how many times Protoss players do shit like this. Yo, by the way, as Lolebiv, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Welcome back to the VFam. Yeah. But a lot of Protoss players do shit like this, where they will have their production rallied onto their army because they're literally using like a 1A move deathball kind of army. That's just what it is. So if I send my Corruptors between his base and his army, I could actually very likely kill the new rallied units coming out. And these Corruptors could easily have killed these 2 carriers before this army got back to him. 100%. Because I saw them down here. I actually could have killed 3 carriers. That would have been even better. Like, I saw my Corruptors were down here like 5 seconds ago, and I saw the carriers initially. But I just moved away. I didn't physically pay attention to it. But it's a big missed opportunity. Killing 3 of his carriers right now would kill a lot of power in his army, because in total he has 9 carriers, guys. He only has 9 carriers. I could have killed 1/3 of the carriers he has just because of positioning. So it's a missed opportunity. Carriers are insanely expensive, so losing a carrier is a very big deal for Protoss. And now we're kind of going for a little bit of a trade again here. which is actually forcing him back to my base, which is nice. Again, we do want to get rid of the Hydras at some point. We don't want to throw them away for free. We know he's coming because I see him walking over my creep. I've known that he has been coming for a while. And we killed the Nexus and we backed up to creep, so we have a potential retreat path. But look at how he's engaging my army. He's engaging it on a complete A-move situation here. Archons are faster than Void Rays, but Void Rays are faster than Carriers, and Carriers are faster than Templar. So what happens here is his army is coming into like this big spread out line, and my Hydras are all grouped up. So if he doesn't have his shit grouped up, why don't I just kill these Archons? Like if I can kill these Archons, it makes the power of my Corruptor against Carrier way more beneficial for me, because there's no more Archon splash damage that is just going to like shoot my Corruptors as I try to pick off the Carriers. So this is huge. If he fights this is great for me. It's great. Picking off a bunch of Archons for free is just wonderful. I just killed all but one Archon. And he actually moves the Archon forward again. But the Carriers are kicking the shit out of me, so we just decided to say, fuck it, we'll back up now. And now he's still committed. He's still going for it. This is quite a large army. Again, it would have been nice if I could have killed a few of the Carriers before. But now in production, we have another 9 Corruptors coming. And Neural Parasite's almost done. Adrenal Glands is almost done. And we're starting to make a lot of Zerglings because we just, you know. The reason why we're making Zerglings is because this guy has no ground, really. The only ground he has is this one last Archon and these Templar, which is 5 Templar. So what this also means is if history repeats itself, this guy has had really non-defended bases, defenseless bases throughout this game. So these Lings could actually just run around and counterattack some economy as well, which is not the worst idea. But it is a bit of a ballsy move saying I'm going to make Zerglings right now with my larva, which is 15 larva that I could have made instead into like more Corruptors. So it's a bit of a big balls move right there. I wouldn't always recommend doing that for anyone else. I would say make an army to deal with this army right now. That would be your primary goal here. You want to make sure you don't die to that, because you would feel stupid if you were like, oh my god, I made a lot of Lings and I don't have enough Corruptors to fight this off and I just died. It just seems kind of silly to do that. But I was pretty confident that I would kill it, which is why I made Lings. And now this is what we're doing. This is because this Protoss player does not have the best micro. Oops. So here's what's happening. I'm baiting his army into my infestors by fungling him, and he's kind of A-moving towards it. But because he's A-moving towards it is the only reason why this worked. This is actually pretty risky, what I just did here. What I'm doing is I'm actually periodically throwing a fungal in his army at max range. I'm even throwing it like, if he's walking this way, okay? I'm throwing the fungal like right there. So that by the time he walks into, like by the time the fungal lands at the spot it's going to, he'll be a little bit further forward. So he'll like walk into it a little bit. So my fungal, even though like let's say a Templar in the back is not within range of being fungaled yet, it will have walked a little bit forward by the time the fungal gets there, and now it's in range to be fungaled and it'll get hit. But realistically what we're doing here is we're weakening the Carriers a little bit, which is not the biggest deal, but it is happening. But we're actually getting rid of all the Templar because it only takes 3 fungals to kill a Templar, and if he keeps eating it like this, where he walks his whole army into a little ball and gets fungaled, then we can actually kill all the Templar before the fight actually starts. And even if he has 5 Templar, and I have like 10 Infestor, if I trade away 5 of my Infestor as well, then I lose all 5 Infestors. So I still have 5 left over, but 5 of them died. If in the process of those Infestors dying, they actually kill all the Templar because they fungaled them, it's actually a great trade for me, because if he loses these Templar, he loses all ability to stop my Corruptor from just getting on top of the Carrier. And there you go. All the Templar just died. I still have 3 Infestors. But, you know, he lost all the Templar. So now that all these Templars are dead, There's nothing stopping me from moving forward. He recalls. He knows he's fucked. He would have been. So he recalls, but there would be nothing stopping me from winning that army. And catching this is really great. That's just like icing on the cake right there. Catching some, what's it called? Some Templar running backwards that were late to the fight. But now, again, what my strategy should be here is I should be going for Broodlord, Corruptor, Infestor. That should be my ultimate composition transition. And then excess supply and excess minerals go into Zergling to do things like this, like to counterattack. And now we've killed this base down here, and we just killed this base. And we know that those are the only bases he could possibly have. So this guy is effectively broke. And now what we're going to do is we just killed a lot of Archons a minute ago, and a lot of the Templar. So we know that if he does remake it, he's very limited to how much he's going to have. So we kind of just test the waters here, and we see what we can do with the Corruptor. And if we see carriers that are like stray carriers like this, maybe we can kill them. Because if we look at the unit count, there's currently 10 carriers. 10 carriers is a very formidable amount of carriers. It's scary. But if I could get in and get out, just fighting the carriers with my Corruptor, there's a very high chance I could kill some carriers before this gets out of hand. Because I have a very formidable amount of Corruptors as well. I have 30 Corruptor. If you guys don't know this, 10 carriers and 30 Corruptors are the same amount of supply. But 10 carriers will get their asses handed them so fucking hard against 30 Corruptor. Not to mention that I've also killed the core twice this game, and he's only got level 1 weapons, and I have level 2 Carapace. So these Corruptors are like ultra tanks against carrier damage. So getting in here and killing some carriers is a great idea before the fight actually starts. You just really don't want to stack your Corruptors up under or over the Archons, because these Archons will actually kick the shit out of me. It'll be scary if I fight that. So the Archons were kind of pounding me a little bit. We just traded 4 carriers for 13 Corruptor. I don't mind it that much. I do think that's a bit of a like not as cost efficient of a trade for me as it is for him. Like 13 Corruptor costs more than 4 carrier for sure. But we did just fuck his base up. Like he's got no income really. Look at the income here. Our income is better than his at this point. He's got 27 workers. I've got 69 Kappa. And I'm just mining more than he is. So taking a trade that, even if it's a little bit inefficient, is not the worst idea. Just because if we cripple his army once now at this point in the game's over. We just don't want to overcommit and take like a really bad fight to where it's like, oh god, we just threw the game and everything's dead. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. And now to kind of seal the game out here, we're making a few Broodlords to... The goal of these Broodlords is to zone out and kill the Templar and the Archon. Meanwhile, we still have Infestor, Corruptor, and we still have leftover Hydras from earlier. We're not making more Hydras. These are just leftover. They haven't died yet.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you for the sub, Hula Vuta! I'll talk to chat a little bit more, guys, once I'm done with this. I am making a video for YouTube really fast. So he's hitting me with some Templar action, some DT. This is probably the best thing he could do right now. Try and do something cost efficient and slow me down. But really, all I need to do at this point in time is I need to prepare for I need to prepare for an all-in. Because if he does not all-in me right now, the amount of mining that I have over him is way better, and I could easily just max out and then push, and guarantee that I'm going to win the game because I'll have a way bigger army than he does. So ultimately, what I should be doing is I should be worrying about getting all in right now, which is kind of what I am doing. My army is kind of centralized around my base. We have not made more drones. Like we're still just mining off what we had, but we're making more units, and we're preparing for an attack. We're making more infestors. We started another Archbait in our Lings, and we have a lot of Corruptor again, and our army's looking pretty good, basically. And now that he's over creep, we see what he's got. He's got more Templar, he's got more Archon, and just Carrier Void Ray. He's making the same army over and over. Now here's the best way to fight this army. Okay, it's kind of already happening, but this is what I would say the best way to fight this army is. If I can somehow get rid of one or the other, the Archon or the Templar, if I can just get rid of one of those fucking two things, then this fight is going to get 10 times easier for me really fast. And I chose to get rid of the Archon because he attacked forward. He like moved north into my base a bit. He like committed up to like here almost, and then he started backing up. But he committed with the Archons leading the charge. And if the Archons are leading the charge and there's only 3 of them, if I Neural Parasite them, if he decides to turn around and come back, he's going to be turning around into my Broodlord and into my Corruptor and into my Hydras. Like, these Hydras can come down. He'll be turning back into my army. Not only will I have 2 of his own... Like, I'll have my whole army hitting him, but I'll also have 2 of his own Archons hitting him as well. And it'll force him into a fight that I would say is not going to be the best for him. Because if these Archons get mind-controlled and they're gone, he's got 5 Zealots and this whole army, and those are the only things that could possibly take the shots of these Broodlords as... to buy the Templar time to not die. But these Templars have very little of a meat shield around them. It's these Templars are just really vulnerable right now, basically, is my point. But if he decides to turn around and go, oh, I don't want to fight this, well, I have 2 Archons that are going to be Neural Parasited that I could just bring back to my army and just get 2 free Archon kills. And if he only has 3 Archons and I just killed 2 of them, that's amazing. That's just huge. Really good. And that's what he does. He decides to kind of turn around for a second, so now we just focus fire the Archons down. But he turns around and then decides to come back. So he's a little bit indecisive. He, in the process of coming back now, what's happening here is the positioning is now really weird for him. His Templar and his Archon are getting kind of zoned by my Broodlord. There's a lot of Broodlings up in his face here. And now his carriers are kind of committing to my Corruptor over a cliff. So it's going to be harder for his Templar to land a storm over here. And all it takes is like for these Templars to be dead now and I could actually just seriously run around and not eat a storm. That's all I got to do. I could run around and not even attack a carrier. And then let's say the Templars die 5 seconds later. If I just don't even fight these carriers for 5 seconds and then fight after, I guarantee I would still win this fight. Because these Corruptors do not take shit for damage from these carriers. Like, they take very little. So, yeah, getting rid of these Archons up here and these Templar it's insanely important. And the fight is really set up really well for me. Not to mention that I still have the Hydras that I could bring over here and send into the fight as well. Which is just going to add more DPS to my army overall. So we're just trying to avoid getting hit by a storm. We ate that storm kind of hard. But even though I ate a storm really hard, look at his army. It's dead. My Broodlords killed all the Archons. They killed all the Zealot. And the Templar are now fully dead as well, because you can see the Broodlings are still on top of the where the Archons are now morphing in, which was Templar a second ago. So these Broodlords just wiped out the ground army, no problem. Now, my Corruptors, at this point, there's still 10 of them alive versus 4 carriers now. 10 Corruptors will beat 4 carriers, no problem. But that's not even it. That's not even all. We still have Infestors left over, and we still have Hydras now coming in. So, we didn't like slam our whole army into his army when he had the ability to like storm the shit out of me. We took it a bit more patient, and we really let the Broodlords do their thing, and we let the Infestors do their thing. The Infestors are basically like the Infestors are basically like the initiation of the fight with either Fungal Growth or Neural Parasite, whatever seems like the better choice in that point. And we chose Neural Parasite because we grabbed the Archons. And that initiated a fight, which then the Broodlords zoned out and killed the rest of his ground while the rest of our army killed his air. And and prepares to kill the air. It's a bit harder to micro that, I'm not going to lie, for Zerg, because you got to be very careful about your positioning of your entire army, and you don't want to just lose units for free. But if you can get it down to a point, I would say the Infestors are probably the most important part of that whole fight. If you can just get a good setup on the fight, you're going to have a really good... the fight's going to go really well for you overall. Because I would say the 2 most important things in that fight. 1 is the Infestor control. And 2 would be, I guess, the Corruptor control. You can actually just get away with moving your Broodlords and calling it a day. Letting the Broodlords just go forward and kill the Templars and the Archons and stuff. But as long as you're not allowing your Corruptors to sit there fighting Interceptors, And as long as you're not allowing your infestors to just like be wasted, you could probably win then. If you have just like a couple good spells with your infestors, like maybe a good fungal or a couple good neural parasites, and then just focus firing with your corruptor on the carrier. If you can do that while A-moving everything else, then you're good to go. Like that's really the most important parts of it. And you can beat people who go for like Sky Toss with ground spellcaster support and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. That was a long replay analysis right there. It was pretty long. It was like way longer than I thought it was gonna be like half an hour. That was like 90 minutes or something. But there's a lot of information, and I even touched on some other ZVP gasless type openers that could happen that did not happen this game, but they're very important. The biggest thing with gasless openers is knowing when to take your gas and knowing how to scout the Protoss if they're going to ult in you or not. And if you just tuned into the end here and you're like, what? I don't know how to do that. Tell me how to do that, ViBE. Guess what? If you scroll back to when the game clock was about somewhere between 4 to 6 minutes, I talked all about it. And yeah, it's a lot of information to absorb that will help you understand what Protoss is capable of with minimal to okay scouting. There's very little options Protoss has if you just know how to break it down. And anyways, guys, I don't know. Yeah, good stuff. I think this is a good one. There was a shitload of information here, so if you guys, want to absorb as much as you could totally go back and rewatch it some more. For those of you who are currently watching the stream, I will be uploading this to YouTube later tonight. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, thank you guys for watching. And if you guys liked it, there are plenty more videos just like this. This is probably like number 10 that I've done at this point. So there's a lot of replay analysis videos I've done prior to this. And yeah, there's a lot of shit you can learn if you want to learn how to play StarCraft better, I guess. A lot of info. You can take parts of what I say and absorb it into your own play if you like it. Or not. It's all good. It's your life, your choice. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of does it, guys. So thank you for watching this replay analysis, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Peace. Goodbye. Later, guys. See ya. Boom. Okay, that's the end.